A mysterious signal. Dr. Elena Vestergaard stifled a yawn as she watched the array of monitors in front of her. Another long shift monitoring the endless depths of space was drawing to a close. As the lead researcher at the Kepler Deep Space Observation Array, a remote outpost orbiting a lonely gas giant, tedium was an occupational hazard. 8 more hours to go, sighed her assistant, Marcus. 8 more hours of watching static and praying for a blip. Elena smirked. Careful what you wish for. A blip could mean anything from a stellar burp to an alien invasion fleet. She wasn't serious, of course. In the 15 years since Kepler Array went online, the most exciting thing they'd found was an unusually symmetrical pulsar. Most days, the work was the scientific equivalent of watching paint dry while cataloging the vintage. Suddenly, an urgent tone emanated from Marcus' workstation. He snapped upright, eyes wide as he read the scrolling data. Elena, you need to see this. Sensors are lighting up across the electromagnetic spectrum. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Elena rushed over, her fatigue forgotten. The signal was astonishingly powerful and focused, standing out against the background hum of the universe like a foghorn in a library. It originated from a distant star system, over 1,200 light-years away, and yet was pointed directly at Earth. The timing and aim were too precise to be coincidence. As they watched, slack-jawed, the signal repeated on a loop, each cycle bringing new waves of complex data. Elena's mind raced as she struggled to make sense of it. This was no pulsar or gamma-ray burst. This was structured, layered, intelligent. This was alien. We need to alert Earth now, she said, punching in the emergency contact code for UNSA headquarters with trembling fingers. And get the whole team up here on the double. Within minutes, the observation deck was buzzing with activity as bleary-eyed scientists rushed to their stations. The Kepler Array's quantum supercomputer, AETAR, hummed with the effort of processing the alien transmission. Look at the fluctuations on the picometer scale, said Dr. Nguyen, the team's quantum specialist. That's data compressed beyond anything we've ever attempted. Dr. Okafor, their resident astrophysicist, nodded. And the energy required for a signal like this, it's staggering. We're talking a Kardashev-type Io civilization at minimum. Elena barely heard them. Her eyes were glued to the central monitor, which now displayed a visual representation of the signal's encoded contents. Streams of symbols and structures flashed by, some tantalizingly familiar, others completely foreign. Whatever this message contained, one thing was clear. Its creators possessed technology centuries or millennia beyond Earth's own. As the hours ticked by and the transmission continued, a grim realization began to dawn. This signal, as earth-shattering as it was for their small outpost, was not meant for them. AETAR's analysis confirmed it. The beam's target was the solar system, but its contents were far too advanced for humans to fully decipher. They had intercepted an alien communique, like cave dwellers marveling at a fiber optic cable. Elena slumped back in her chair, torn between elation and despair. They had found incontrovertible proof of intelligent alien life, but in doing so had also discovered the staggering gulf between humanity and the other civilizations of the galaxy. For a moment, she wondered if they should erase the signal, pretend they had never heard the whispers of their cosmic neighbors. But as she looked around at the faces of her team, exhausted yet exhilarated, eyes shining with hungry curiosity, she knew that was impossible. The signal could not be unheard. The genie could not be put back in the bottle. Humanity, in all its desperate genius, would never stop until it understood this message from the stars. Elena took a deep breath and opened a channel to UNSA headquarters. This is Dr. Elena Vestergaard of the Kepler Array. We have urgent news. Deciphering the message. The auditorium at the United Nations Space Agency headquarters was filled to capacity, a sea of anxious faces illuminated by the glow of holographic displays. Representatives from every nation on Earth had gathered, called together by the shocking news from the Kepler Array. Dr. Elena Vestergaard stood at the podium, her normally neat hair disheveled from days of non-stop work. Behind her, a massive screen displayed the alien signal in all its cryptic complexity. "As you can see," she said, her voice amplified by the room's acoustics, "this transmission is unlike anything humanity has encountered before. It was clearly not intended for us, but rather seems to be a communication between two highly advanced civilizations." A murmur rippled through the crowd. An American general leaned forward, his uniform bristling with medals. "Dr. Vestergaard, are you suggesting we've intercepted alien communications? How can we be sure this isn't some kind of elaborate hoax or natural phenomenon?" Elena nodded, having anticipated such skepticism. "I can assure you, General, this signal is quite real. It has been verified by multiple independent observatories and displays clear hallmarks of intelligent design. As for its contents," she gestured to her colleague, Dr. Sanjay Patel, who stepped up to the podium. "Our quantum supercomputer, AETADR, has been working around the clock to decode the transmission," he said, his voice tight with excitement. "While much of it remains opaque, we have managed to extract some tantalizing fragments." The screen behind him shifted, displaying a series of complex schematics and equations. The room fell silent as the assembled scientists and diplomats strained to make sense of the alien diagrams. "From what we can tell," Dr. Patel continued, "a significant portion of the message contains specifications for an advanced propulsion system and power source. The principles at work are far beyond our current understanding of physics, but if we're interpreting this correctly, it could revolutionize space travel and energy production on Earth." Excited whispers turned into a roar of conversation as the implications sank in. An Egyptian diplomat stood up, her voice rising above the din. "If this technology is so advanced, how can we hope to understand it? We would be like ants trying to build a space shuttle." Dr. Patel held up his hands for calm. "It's true that we have a long way to go, but the signal also includes what appear to be instructional elements, as if designed to guide a less advanced civilization. With time and dedicated resources, we believe we can unravel its secrets." As the meeting stretched on, a fierce debate emerged. Some argued for caution, warning that meddling with alien technology could be disastrous. Others saw it as an opportunity for unprecedented progress, a shortcut to the stars. Amidst the clamor, a quiet voice cut through. It was Ekini Odinga, the young Kenyan representative to the UN. "There is another question we must consider," she said, her eyes blazing with intensity. "This signal, while not meant for us, has fallen into our hands. We now know, beyond any doubt, that we are not alone in the universe. Do we keep this knowledge to ourselves, or do we dare to announce our presence to the cosmos?" The auditorium fell silent, the weight of the decision settling on every shoulder. Dr. Vestergaard stepped back to the podium, her face grave. "Representative Odinga raises a vital point. In deciphering this message, we have inadvertently learned of civilizations far more advanced than our own. Our next actions will irrevocably shape the future of humanity." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I believe we have a responsibility, not just to ourselves, but to generations yet unborn. We must rise to this challenge, unite as a species, and boldly embrace our destiny among the stars." As the applause swelled, drowning out the last echoes of dissent, Earth's course was set. The alien signal had not been meant for them, but humanity, in all its stubborn brilliance and audacity, would not let that stop them from reaching out and seizing the future with both hands. In that moment, though they did not yet know it, the fate of the galaxy changed forever. Reaching out. In the months following the fateful UN meeting, the world transformed. Under the newly formed Global Space Initiative, humanity united as never before, pouring resources and manpower into the monumental task of deciphering the alien signal. At the heart of this effort was the Prometheus facility, a sprawling research complex carved into the mountains of Switzerland. Here, the greatest minds of a generation labored day and night, wielding cutting-edge quantum computers and AI assistants in their race to unravel the secrets of the cosmos. Dr. Elena Vestergaard, now the head of Prometheus, stood before a wall-sized display, eyes flickering over streams of decoded data. Each day brought new breakthroughs, tantalizing glimpses of the advanced science hidden within the signal. "Dr. Vestergaard, take a look at this," exclaimed Lai Mei, a brilliant young physicist from Shanghai. She pulled up a holographic schematic, her face aglow with excitement. "I think we've cracked the power source. It's a zero-point energy extraction system, capable of harnessing the quantum vacuum itself." Elena felt a thrill run through her. With technology like this, the limitations that had shackled humanity for so long, energy scarcity, interstellar distances, relativistic time dilation, could be cast off like rusty chains. Across the room, Dr. Kwame Ansa, the Ghanaian expert in advanced propulsion, let out a whoop of joy. "That's it, the final piece of the puzzle. With this and the warp drive schematic, we've got everything we need to build an FTL ship. We can reach the stars." As the news spread, Prometheus erupted in celebration. Scientists from every nation embraced, tears of joy and relief flowing freely. The impossible had become possible. The future was bright. But Elena knew their work was far from over. Understanding the technology was one thing. Implementation would be a far greater challenge. And looming over it all was the question that had haunted her since that first fateful transmission. Should they reach out to the signal senders? The debate raged for weeks, dividing the initiative. Some, like Dr. Ansa, argued passionately for contact. "This is the greatest discovery in human history," he insisted. "We cannot squander this opportunity to join the galactic community. We must let them know we are here, that we are ready to learn and contribute." Others urged caution, warning of the dangers of attracting unknown entities. But in the end, the lure of knowledge proved too strong. United in purpose, humanity prepared to announce its presence to the cosmos. In a remote corner of the Atacama Desert, a massive transmission array rose from the ancient sands, dwarfing even the mighty ALNA telescopes. This was the Hyperion Beacon, humanity's first true interstellar communication system. On a clear night, under a canopy of stars, the leaders of the Global Space Initiative gathered to witness the historic moment. Dr. Vestergaard, her face lit by the glow of the towering antennae, stepped to the microphone. "Today," she began, her voice trembling with emotion, "we stand on the brink of a new era. For the first time, humanity will speak as one to the universe. We do not know who may hear us, or what the future holds, but we face it united, ready to take our place among the stars." With a nod to Dr. Ansa, she initiated the transmission sequence. A low hum built, rising to a crescendo as terawatts of power surged through the array. Then, in a blinding flash, the message leaped skyward, riding a beam of neutrinos and gravitons out into the endless expanse of space. The die was cast. Humanity had reached out, announcing itself to the galaxy. In that moment of exhilaration and trepidation, no one could have guessed the response their signal would receive. For out in the vast darkness, ancient eyes turned towards the faint, distant glimmer of soul, and alien minds began to ponder this new variable in the cosmic equation. On Earth, beneath the wheeling stars, Dr. Vestergaard and her colleagues celebrated and prepared, unaware that their triumph was only the prelude to the greatest challenge humanity would ever face. First contact. The year was 2117, a decade since humanity had sent its first message to the stars. Life on Earth had changed beyond recognition. Powered by the knowledge gleaned from the alien signal, human technology had leaped forward centuries. Zero-point energy reactors lit up cities, while graviton engines propelled sleek ships through the void at superluminal speeds. Yet for all the marvels of this new age, an undercurrent of tension rippled through humanity. The Hyperion Beacon, once a symbol of unity and hope, now stood as a reminder of the great unanswered question: Would there be a reply from the stars? And if so, what form would it take? The answer came on a clear autumn morning, as the people of Earth went about their business, unaware that the course of their destiny was about to change forever. At the Prometheus facility, Dr. Elena Vestergaard was deep in discussion with her colleague, Dr. Sanjay Patel, when alarms suddenly blared throughout the complex. "Proximity alert," shouted a technician, her face pale. "Unidentified objects detected at the edge of the solar system. They're moving fast, on a direct course for Earth." Elena felt her heart race. After all these years, could it truly be happening? She sprinted to the command center, Sanjay hot on her heels. The room was in chaos, scientists and military officials shouting over each other as a massive holographic display showed a swarm of glowing dots speeding inward from the Oort cloud. "Have they responded to our hails?" Elena demanded, shouldering her way to the front. A communications officer shook her head, sweat beading on her brow. "No response on any channel. They're jamming everything. We can barely track." Her words cut off as the display flared, the dots coalescing into a single massive shape. Gasps filled the room as the image resolved into a colossal spacecraft, its angular hull glinting in the light of the distant sun. It was like nothing Elena had ever seen, a miles-long wedge of exotic metals and pulsing energy fields, and it was slowing down, matching velocity with Earth's orbit. For a moment, an eerie stillness fell over the command center. Then, with a crackle of static, every screen flared to life, filled with scrolling alien glyphs. "They're communicating," cried Sanjay, his eyes wide. "AETAER, begin translation protocols." The AI set to work, its quantum processors straining to parse the complex xenolinguistic patterns. Tense minutes ticked by as the glyphs morphed and shifted, slowly resolving into human language. "Greetings, people of Earth," a synthesized voice intoned, echoing from every speaker. "We are the Galactic Confluence. Your signal has been noted." Elena felt a chill run down her spine at the sheer alien nature of the words, the weight of centuries behind each syllable. "You have taken your first steps into a larger universe," the message continued. "But you are young, and the path ahead is perilous. There are many who would see your potential extinguished, your world reduced to ashes." The command center erupted in a babble of fear and confusion, but Elena held up a hand for silence. She had not come this far to be cowed by cryptic threats. "If you truly mean us no harm," she transmitted back, "then we welcome you in peace. But if your intentions are hostile, know this: humanity will not go quietly into the night. We will fight for our right to exist, to explore, to reach for the stars." For a long, agonizing moment, there was no reply. Then, with a burst of static, a new message appeared. "You speak bravely, young species, but you do not yet understand the forces at play. There are rules to the cosmos, a delicate balance that must be maintained. By reaching out as you have drawn attention, not all of it benevolent." The screen flared again, displaying a vast star map, dotted with myriad glowing nodes. Some pulsed with gentle light, others burned an angry red. One in particular caught Elena's eye, a seething crimson nexus that seemed to cast a pall over the surrounding space. "The Horgoth Empire," the message resumed, an edge of urgency in its synthetic tones. "A cruel and rapacious race, ever eager to subjugate new worlds. Your transmission has not gone unnoticed by them. Even now, their fleets gather, hungry for conquest." Elena felt a knot of dread form in her stomach as she watched the scarlet nodes begin to move, tracing ominous paths towards Earth. "We offer you a choice, people of Earth," the Galactic Confluence declared. "Stand with us, join the ranks of the enlightened races, and we will aid you in your fight against the darkness. Refuse, and you will face the Xorgath alone, a candle against the howling void." As the message faded, leaving only the slowly spinning star map, Elena knew there was only one path forward. Humanity had come too far, sacrificed too much, to turn back now. They would fight, as they always had, for their right to choose their own destiny, even if that destiny led them into the heart of the maelstrom. "Send a reply," she said, her voice steady. "Tell the Galactic Confluence, we accept their offer. Humanity stands ready to defend its place among the stars." As the response flashed out, carrying with it the hopes and fears of an entire species, Elena turned to face her team, steel in her eyes. "We have work to do." Technological leap. In the wake of the Galactic Confluence's stark warning, Earth underwent a transformation unlike any in its history. Faced with the looming threat of the Xorgeth Empire, humanity threw itself into a frenzy of preparation, determined to meet the coming storm head-on. Leading the charge was the newly formed Terran Defense Initiative, TDI, a global alliance of scientists, engineers, and military strategists tasked with bolstering Earth's defenses. At the helm stood Dr. Elena Vestergaard, her once tired eyes now ablaze with purpose. "We cannot hope to match the Xorgeth in sheer numbers or firepower," she addressed her team, holographic displays flickering around her. "Our only chance lies in technological superiority, in outthinking and outmaneuvering our enemy." To that end, the Galactic Confluence proved invaluable. True to their word, the enigmatic aliens shared vast troves of scientific knowledge, opening up vistas of understanding that left Earth's brightest minds reeling. In secret facilities around the globe, human scientists pored over alien schematics and equations, their eyes widening with each new revelation. Zero-point energy, once a theoretical pipe dream, became the beating heart of a new industrial revolution. Graviton engines, capable of folding space-time like origami, promised to make the stars humanity's backyard. But it was in the realm of medicine that the alien knowledge truly shone. Hidden within the complex xenogenetic codes were the keys to unlocking the full potential of the human genome. Cancer, aging, even death itself suddenly seemed like tractable problems, puzzles waiting to be solved. Dr. Sanjay Patel, now head of the TDI's biotech division, worked tirelessly to decode the secrets of alien physiology, his lab a hive of glowing gene sequencers and humming nanofabricators. "Imagine it," he enthused to Elena one late night, his eyes fever-bright. "Humans immune to disease, with regenerative abilities that border on the miraculous. Soldiers capable of surviving the rigors of deep space, of facing the Xorgeth on equal footing." But not everyone shared Sanjay's enthusiasm. As news of the TDI's breakthroughs leaked out, public opinion began to fracture. Some hailed the coming advancements as the dawn of a new golden age, a chance for humanity to cast off the shackles of its biological limitations. Others, however, saw only hubris and danger. Splinter groups emerged, decrying the use of alien technology as a corruption of the human spirit. They warned of unintended consequences, of Pandora's boxes best left unopened. The most vocal of these dissenters was Dr. Akinyi Odinga, the once celebrated Kenyan xenobiologist. In impassioned speeches and fiery debates, she argued against the headlong rush to embrace the confluence's gifts. "We are tampering with forces we do not fully understand," she warned, her eyes flashing. "In our haste to arm ourselves against the Xorgeth, we risk losing what makes us human. We must proceed with caution, lest we become the very monsters we fear." But Akinyi's words fell on increasingly deaf ears. As the Xorgeth fleets drew closer, their crimson icons burning ever brighter on the star maps, humanity's resolve only hardened. The die had been cast. There could be no turning back. In hidden shipyards and fortified bunkers, the fruits of the TDI's labors began to take shape. Sleek warships, their hulls shimmering with exotic alloys, rose from their berths like silver arrows poised for flight. Battalions of augmented soldiers, their bodies thrumming with nanotech enhancements, drilled ceaselessly in the harsh light of holographic suns. And at the heart of it all, a secret that Elena and her inner circle guarded closer than any other, a weapon, born of desperation and genius, that promised to even the odds against the Xorgeth once and for all. As the final preparations were made and the last upgrades installed, Elena couldn't help but feel a twinge of doubt. Had they done the right thing in embracing the alien technology so fully, or had they, in their quest to save humanity, sown the seeds of its destruction? Only time would tell, and time was a luxury they no longer had. On the eve of the Xorgeth invasion, as a billion eyes turned skyward in hope and fear, Elena steeled herself for the trials to come. Whatever the future held, humanity would face it as one, united by a common purpose and an indomitable will. The Xorgeth would learn, to their sorrow, the true meaning of human resolve. For in the face of annihilation, there was no power in the universe greater than the unbreakable spirit of Earth. Galactic stand. The day of reckoning arrived in a blaze of crimson and gold, as the Xorgeth warfleet tore through the solar system like a swarm of angry locusts. Their ships were biomechanical nightmares, all chitinous armor and pulsing, sickly lights. At their heart, a massive dreadnought hung in space like a bloated spider, its maw agape and hungry. Aboard the TDI flagship Resilience, Elena Vestergaard stood on the bridge, her eyes locked on the holographic display. She barely recognized herself these days, her once softly rounded features sharpened by months of gene therapies and nanotech infusions. But it was her mind that had undergone the greatest change, honed to a razor's edge by the confluence's neurotronic imprints. "This is it," she murmured, as much to herself as to her crew. "The moment we've been preparing for. The moment we prove ourselves worthy of the galaxy's attention." Around her, the bridge buzzed with activity as augmented humans and AI assistants worked in perfect synchrony. They were the best of the best, the brightest minds and bravest souls that Earth had to offer. At the tactical station, Lieutenant Commander Sanjay Patel, his eyes now a glittering silver from ocular implants, studied the incoming scans with a predator's intensity. His enhancements allowed him to process data at lightning speed, to see patterns and vulnerabilities where others saw only chaos. "The Xorgeth are deploying fighter screens," he reported, his voice calm and even. "Looks like they're trying to flank us, draw our fire away from the main fleet." Elena nodded, her own enhanced mind already spinning through a dozen countermoves. "Deploy our own fighters, but keep them close to the capital ships. We don't want to get drawn into a dogfight." As the human fleet moved to intercept, Elena couldn't help but marvel at the sleek, deadly beauty of their ships. The Confluence's technology had been a revelation, allowing them to craft vessels that were as much works of art as instruments of war. But for all their advancements, Elena knew they were still outmatched. The Xorgeth had been conquering worlds for millennia, their technology honed by countless bloody campaigns. If humanity was to have any chance, they would need to fight smarter, not just harder. "Prepare the Prometheus device," she ordered, her voice ringing through the bridge, "and pray that it works as advertised." Deep within the bowels of the Resilience, a team of scientists and engineers scrambled to activate humanity's secret weapon. Born of desperation and alien science, the Prometheus device was a thing of terrible beauty, a fusion of human ingenuity and confluence technology. At its heart was a miniaturized singularity, a captive black hole no larger than a grain of sand. Encased in a web of exotic matter and held in check by fields of pure force, it was a weapon capable of wiping out entire fleets, if it could be controlled. Dr. Akin Yodinga, her once skeptical mind now afire with purpose, oversaw the final preparations. She had come to see the Prometheus device as a necessary evil, a terrible burden that humanity must bear if it hoped to survive. As the device thrummed to life, space-time buckling around it like a Chinese finger trap, Akin whispered a prayer to gods both old and new. "Let this work," she thought fervently. "Let this be enough." On the bridge, Elena watched as the Xorgeth fleet closed in, their monstrous ships blotting out the stars. They had numbers and firepower on their side, but the humans had something else, the element of surprise. "Engage the device," she commanded, her voice steady as a drumbeat. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, with a silent scream that tore at the fabric of reality, The Prometheus device unleashed its fury. A miniature black hole, no larger than a marble, blinked into existence in the heart of the Xorgath formation. For a fraction of a second, it hung there, a perfect sphere of absolute darkness. Then, with a violence that defied comprehension, it began to feed. Xorgath ships, their hulls warping and twisting like melted plastic, vanished into the ravenous maw. Fighter craft spun out of control, caught in the inexorable pull of the Singularity's gravity well. Even the mighty dreadnought, its shields flaring and failing, began to come apart, its chitinous plates peeling away like the skin of an overripe fruit. For a few glorious, terrible moments, the humans watched in awe and horror as their enemy was consumed by a force beyond reckoning. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the Singularity winked out, leaving only a twisted knot of tortured spacetime in its wake. In the stunned silence that followed, Alina felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her, the toll of months of preparation and anxiety finally catching up. But beneath the fatigue, a fierce joy blossomed, bright and hot as a newborn star. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had stood its ground and emerged victorious. That Xorgath, the scourge of 1,000 worlds, had been humbled by the ingenuity and tenacity of a single upstart species. As cheers erupted throughout the fleet, Alina allowed herself a moment of pure, unadulterated relief. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The Xorgath would be back, their fury redoubled by the sting of defeat. And beyond them, countless other dangers lurked in the vast expanse of the galaxy, waiting to test humanity's mettle. But for now, in this shining moment of triumph, none of that mattered. Humanity had proven itself worthy of a place among the stars, and woe betide any who sought to deny them their destiny. As the fleet turned for home, battered but unbowed, Alina felt a smile tug at her lips. The journey ahead would be long and fraught with peril, but one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same. For better or worse, humanity had arrived, and the cosmos would tremble at their coming.